Welcome to Tuesdays with Terry. We're very excited for episode 5 this week. We have a great lineup of guests this week to talk about all things Aquinas. We're coming to you again from our studio here in Homedene, and we're ready to really get started this week and jump into talking about international programs and basically all things kind of international here at Aquinas College. So I'd like to welcome my first guest, Hannah Bechtold.
Hi.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Excellent. We practiced a little bit before we started the episode today. So thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So one of the things is I'd like to start with our guest is tell me a little bit about how you got to Aquinas. Like what brought you here, and we'll kind of dive in a little bit about your interest, because I know you have a passion for international, not only working with international students, but travel and so forth.
Right. So I feel like it is a crazy journey of getting actually here to Aquinas. But I think the bigger picture as far as like international programs, I studied international development at Calvin University just down the road. Fell in love with Grand Rapids during that time, but planned on moving abroad.
Okay.
Because that was my degree, international development.
Yeah.
That was the plan.
What was the location? Where were you thinking of going?
I, as a student, had no idea.
Okay.
So really tried to expand my opportunities and my just experiences.
Yeah.
Growing up, my family traveled a lot. My dad's a college professor and would take these short-term trips a lot of times. We were able to go, which was amazing. So in college, I really focused on trying to experience new places and do different study abroads in places that I hadn't been or regions that I hadn't been. So I did month-long experiences in Ecuador and Kenya.
Okay.
And then I did a semester in Thailand.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
And then after my semester in Thailand, I was like that was cool. Don't know that I really see myself living or working here in the future, but like, hey, great experience. 100% recommend Thailand. And then just as things work, there were doors opened in Thailand. So I moved to Thailand shortly after I graduated and worked there for 5 years.
Okay.
Mostly in nonprofit work with various nonprofits. For a while, I was doing a lot of visa work for other foreigners coming to Thailand, which really helps me here at Aquinas, doing visa work for internationals. They're two very different processes, but the skills of tracking things, being able to look up government regulations, know how to do that, know how to navigate those things. So that really helped as far as working with internationals here. And then I also worked with an international church and their youth group.
Okay.
So I worked with teens from all over the world, which was just such a delight. And I'm still close with some of those students.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Really love that. And I think that also plays into why I love working with international students here. Because I might not have visited their country before, but I may know someone who's from that country or had friends or have friends in countries they're coming from. So,
That's great. So then kind of after this, you came to Aquinas.
I came back to the U.S. after 5 years in Thailand and was really looking to get into higher ed. Working with teens was great, but college students have a little bit more independence. I think there's some really interesting personal growth and stuff that happens in college. And I really am interested in that and really like working with students in that time period. That emerging adulthood is so interesting to me. And so I was looking to get into higher ed and had a role at Calvin for a while with their Project Neighborhood program where I was living with and mentoring students, which I think then also helped me because I was just looking for things at the various schools in town. And so saw actually a friend sent me the job opening
Yeah.
at Aquinas and was like, Hannah, I think you'd be perfect for this. Like your international experience, your enjoyment of working with college students. And I was like, yeah.
Well,
so it worked out.
Yeah, we're very happy you're here. Now, if, our viewers would want to know what, in a snapshot does Hannah do here at Aquinas College?
A lot.
You do.
So we have about 50 international students here on campus. So I am helping them through their time here. So for a while, I've been doing a little bit of their initial visa work, trying to get out of that to really focus on students from like the day they arrive in country, their initial orientation, getting set up, navigating U.S. systems, how to open a bank account, maybe get a social security number, that sort of thing, through if they decide to transfer, helping them with a visa process for that. If they're coming in as a transfer is slightly different. And then once they graduate, there are a couple different options for them, either going on to master's program or even staying in the States and working. So helping them navigate their options. While they're here, they have to maintain their visa. So making sure they're doing that. Intern working off campus. You're not allowed to work off campus, but you can intern. There's another process for that. So just helping them with all those things. So we have about 3 or 4 students who are interning every semester. And then anything else that comes up as far as navigating U.S. life. Health insurance is a big one that's really hard. I feel like it's confusing for me. And I'm an American. So just trying to help support them in those ways. So that's kind of
that's one side of it.
Yeah, that's one side.
So there's this other travel thing we do.
Study abroad. All our study abroad
yeah.
programs, which is also really exciting. I love traveling. I love the opportunities that we have for students to travel. So I do oversee all our study abroad programming. So that means I'm trying to recruit for semester longs. I'm working with faculty to develop their short term or check in on that and make sure those are running smoothly. We have some summer programs, like all the things that go into that. So making sure students are prepared, they know what classes they're taking while abroad. That those classes will transfer back to credit here at Aquinas, that they go through I do some different types of training, like orientation, just to help them prepare for living in another culture or experiencing another culture, staying healthy and safe while there. We really want our students to succeed abroad. So just making sure they're prepared or as prepared as they can be. For that experience.
And it's exciting. And I think as we continue to appreciate your work on that, because I know we've had conversations about kind of what's next and kind of building off of ideas and engagement from our faculty and staff. And I think we're going to see some more exciting things in the next year come out. And, we'll probably have to have you back and
I know.
Potentially talk about some of those exciting pieces.
Because I know COVID was really hard, especially with study abroad. And so I think we've kind of struggled with that as well. Like all schools have struggled to kind of bounce back from that. And with the amount of turnover that happened, especially in study abroad after COVID, so much turnover. So, really working to reestablish partnerships, really working to reestablish our policies and procedures. I think the hard thing about study abroad is because there are so many moving pieces, you really have to plan like at least a year in advance. And it's hard to do sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. So, we had a conversation earlier about this, like one of the segments we do on the show is called Biscuits Corner, where we ask our guests to talk about their pet. And we have Blueberry. Am I correct? So we have a photo of Blueberry.
Blueberry was my beta fish. Very sadly passed away in October and has not yet been replaced. But
Blueberry can never truly be replaced.
No. And as a beta fish, he was like a fighter and really feisty fish, which was just so fun to have.
Yeah.
And it was like, sorry, but like hard to watch him die because he was still fought. He seemed to be fighting death. And we
In
we
true
tried
blueberry fashion, it sounds like.
oh yeah, true blueberry fashion.
Mhm.
I mean, he was king of the tank.
Okay,
I had a snail for a while, and he would go after the snail, who was like a little bit bigger than him and a hard shell. Like there was no winning, and yet he thought
determination.
He would. Yeah. So, yeah.
So there is a possibility that next time you come on,
100%.
Okay,
100%. Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
great. Well, thank you. So one of the things that we also like to do here with our guest is to do a little bit of kind of our rapid fire to get to know you. And I've thought about this first question for you since we kind of worked out a time for you to come on the show.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious because of all of your travel experience, how this one will go. Okay. So right now, I would have a voucher to travel anywhere, a pure airline voucher, but you have to decide in 15 minutes where to go.
It's just an airline?
It's just an airline, but on ground is paid.
On ground is paid for.
On ground is paid for. So a voucher to go anywhere, right now you have to decide in 15 minutes and go book it.
Well, I want to take a cruise to Antarctica. So it would be, the flight would then, if on the ground
or on the water.
Or on the water. If it's covered, then like Chile or Argentina.
Okay.
To then leave to go on the cruise.
So it sounds like you've thought about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is great. That'd be an absolute,
and it's super expensive.
So there's this plan. So if this does happen, Hannah, it sounds like you're ready to go.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Okay. Some different ones now. What's your favorite cookie?
Oatmeal chocolate chip.
Okay. Gloves or mittens?
Gloves. But really thin gloves.
You said that with like not a face of disdain, but a face of
I don't really like gloves or mittens.
Okay.
I wish I didn't have to use them.
Okay.
But then my hands get cold, so thin gloves.
Okay. So really neither.
Yeah.
But by necessity, you have to have. Yeah. Favorite ice cream? Like
a chocolate. Like all the chocolate. The most chocolatey fudge.
With chocolate chips, with chocolate.
All that.
Okay. Your favorite Christmas present you've received?
Ooh. My brother took me to New York City one year. It was like a combo birthday Christmas present, and kind of said, we can do whatever you want in the city. And so like went to the Met with me, which I know is not his thing. And we saw a Broadway show, and it was just really fun. So
Excellent.
That was probably the best one. Yeah.
And our last one we'll throw out here. What's the most memorable experience or snapshot you have when you think back to elementary school?
Relating back to travel, like the first clear travel memories I have were from like first grade. My dad took a J term to Trinidad and Tobago. Wow, and so I was able to get out of school for like a month and just travel around those islands. And we did that a couple times through elementary school, but like that is some of my first memories of that like first trip. Yeah. We had traveled some before that, but like I don't really remember those. But that trip in first grade was big. And
that's awesome.
I think I've been thinking about it a lot too, because we're going back as a family for Christmas and New Year's.
Coming up here.
Yeah, just this.
So this is
in another week or two, I guess.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So
well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit about you. And clearly, travel is a passion, and we look forward to in the future having you come back and talk a little bit about some new exciting things.
I'm sure we got some great new programs coming.
It's coming. Yeah, absolutely. You want to thank Hannah for coming and joining us, and we'll be right back with our next guest on Tuesdays with Terry, talking more things Aquinas. Welcome back to Tuesdays with Terry. We're excited to continue our show today, and we have with us Dr. Amy Dunham Strand joining us to talk about not only we have an exciting pet to talk about coming up,
Yes.
but also women's and gender studies, your path to Aquinas, and all things Dr. Strand today.
Thank you. Thank
absolutely.
you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. Yeah. So a lot of times what we do here and what folks have shared feedback about with Tuesdays with Terry is they get to know individuals in the community and learn about their path to Aquinas, because everyone's is very unique, which is exciting. And I think you and I see this while we're here. Not only our student paths to Aquinas unique, also our faculty and staff.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you got to Aquinas.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. The long version would be super long. But I'll give a short version.
Mm-hmm.
When we moved to Grand Rapids, my family moved to Grand Rapids in around 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for a college to teach at that would be similar to my undergraduate institution. I went to Wittenberg University, a small liberal arts college in Ohio.
Yes.
And I had professors at Wittenberg and a community at Wittenberg that were just really instrumental to my own learning and my own path and my own journey. And so I wanted that experience to be part of my career.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the opportunities in Grand Rapids. And I think at the time, it was 2006, 7, 8, Aquinas' sort of marketing mantra was something like the most open-hearted, open-minded college around, or something like that. And that really appealed to me.
Yeah.
And so I threw my hat in the ring for positions here and started teaching part-time. I've taught in a number of different departments in our Gen Ed program, humanities, English, and women's and gender studies as well, and haven't looked back. It really does have that relational quality that my undergrad institution had, and I'm really grateful for that. I found my way into women's and gender studies via English, language and literature. So women's and gender studies is this interdisciplinary field, and people come into it from, psychology, sociology, English, history, any number of different ways in. And it was my PhD work in English language and literature at the University of Washington, where I was really interested in the relationship between American literature and culture, ideas about language, ideas about citizenship, and how that all got worked out in American literature and culture. So that was my way into women's and gender studies.
Excellent. Well, we're very excited you're here. Very excited you're a part of our community. And if you kind of look back, and maybe it's looking future, maybe there's a future plan in your mind, what is your absolute favorite class to teach?
Oh, gosh. Oh, that's also a hard question.
It is. It's a tough one.
And being in women's and gender studies and Gen Ed, I get to teach all kinds of different things. I'm teaching a class this semester that it's a first-time class, but I really love teaching it. It's a course on language and gender.
Yes.
And we've really had a lot of fun in that class, especially recently, exploring terms, gendered terms in the language. I also really love a class on women, gender, and the environment here at Aquinas.
Yes.
And in that class, it overlaps a lot with a personal passion for environment and sustainability, which we also do really well here at Aquinas. And in that class, we look at ideas about Mother Earth, right, throughout history and culture. And then we look at folks who have been Earth mothers or advocates, women who have advocated in the environmental movement, who often have been overlooked in environmental history. And we do a lot of hands-on field trips to women-led organizations in town. Plain Song Farm is one. We've gone and talked with folks at Blandford. We've talked with Rachel Hood, who, executive director of WMIAC at one point, and now a representative in our state legislature. And, so we've done a lot of great things in that class that bring together, I think, some of my academic interests with my personal passions. And students have found that a fun class too, I think. So so those are two of my favorites. I don't know. I'm lucky to be able to teach a wide variety of courses. So that's good.
And I think the aspect of critical thinking and the engagement of our students, here at Aquinas is so interesting to see their thought process start to form around, something that may be presented, and maybe in the past they've taken it at face value.
Yeah.
And then now we're working with them to develop the skills to dive into that a little further.
Yeah. And to be more critical thinkers about things. Like in this language and gender class, we did an assignment that was really informed by, I don't know if you ever watch or listen to Ann Curzan's That's What They Say. It's a podcast on Michigan Public Radio weekly. And Dr. Curzan's a University of Michigan linguist, and she dives into the history of words and usage. And so we had listened to a few of those episodes and then had an assignment investigating our own words of choice that were relevant to women's and gender studies, and really learning the tools to trace the history of those terms, and then their current usage. And students were using the research and the critical thinking skills in order to make sense of what they're hearing around them. And it was a really fun assignment. Students were investigating words that that might have embarrassed them to use in front of their mothers, right? But that have this really long unknown history. And you can track it through the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, and these other great sources available to us as student sociolinguists. So.
And I think that aspect of diving into, that methodology around content analysis and, looking at media and social media, and how social media has changed some of the words and terms that we use. And it's fascinating because, seeing students' excitement and diving into that and looking at, I was recently at the Research and Scholarship Symposium, and one of the presentations I went to was focused on looking at languages and that maybe not or not at the forefront, and how TikTok kind of it has become a part of promoting that language and building capacity around getting that information out. And I think that's interesting that social media is an integral part of what we do in the classroom, but also influencing a lot of the pieces, particularly in that class, around terminology and how it's used and how it's changed.
Absolutely.
And one of our segments on the show that I was excited is before we started recording about your energy around Biscuit's Corner.
Yes.
And talking about...
I'm excited about this.
Yes, and talking about your pet.
Yes.
So, Amy, let's hear about your pet.
Well, my pet, Bee, short for EB. EB is named after a favorite family spot in Puget Sound, EB's Landing on Whidbey Island, where we used to like to go. And so EB, E-B-E-Y is her full name, but Bee, B-E-E for short. And Bee is about a 2.5-year-old Australian Labradoodle. So she still has a ton of puppy energy. I was going to say, there's a lot of puppy. There's so much puppy. I think there's a picture here of her as a puppy, and now more recently as like a 2-year-old puppy. She has boundless energy. She's still in that jump up and like greet you, and like she has to like be in your space, but she's so snuggly and cuddly. And really, we think that maybe part of her is human because she has these brown eyes that just look at you with such love and affection. And she loves peanut butter, and socks, dirty old socks, and playing ball. We find a lot of balls, and as if you have pets, Biscuit's a lab, so we have random throughout the house. And but she's been really a spark of energy and joy in our house.
So, Bee's favorite thing to do?
Bee's favorite thing to do is probably to try to find the most stinky sock out of the laundry basket and claim it as her own, and like just trail around the house with it, and then eventually you can get it away from her.
Eventually. Sometimes little love holes in it, like a little bit.
Yes.
Yep. And probably that's an aspect. I talk about this with Biscuit, the aspect of getting out, because, our schedules sometimes
Yes.
are busy.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
if you miss a walk or miss
Yes.
something
That
like
energy
that,
gets
the
pent
energy
up.
gets pent up.
Yes. Yes.
And then, but once it, is out there, and then you have that, where it's play or a walk or anything like that. And then it's just the laying down with the, the legs out.
I love that. We call that H position in our house, where she like sprawls on the floor with all four legs out. And, she's in her H position. Yeah. Luckily, my youngest is a runner, and we'll take her running and get some of that energy. Oh,
that's a good, yes.
Which is fantastic. But not
And
always.
B is probably just excited to go on the run as the walk too.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we're lucky to have our pets.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. One of our, as we kind of wrap up, one of the things that we like to do is a little bit of a rapid fire round to get to know you a little bit more about things. Yeah, don't think too much about it.
All right.
Just kind of respond. All right.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Your favorite cookie?
Ginger snaps.
Excellent. Gloves or mittens?
Oh gosh, both. Like gloves for driving, or if I need my device. Mittens because they're warmer. Like mittens for sledding or hiking, because with your fingers together, there's more heat retained.
Okay. Well, it's a
both and.
It's a both and.
Situational.
Gloves
yes,
are situational.
We cannot generalize.
That is fair.
It's all based on. It's all based on context.
Yes, absolutely. Your favorite ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip, and especially mint chocolate chip from Graeter's ice cream place in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where I grew up. And Graeter's has made for years, it's French pot ice cream, and they make their chip flavors by pouring in the dark chocolate into the freezing mix of stuff. And so when you get into the chip flavors, there will be chunks of chocolate, like big giant chunks of chocolate, which I'm a dark chocolate fan as well.
Oh, I am a fan of the dark chocolate. Absolutely. Good dark chocolate.
So really any Graeter's chip flavor, mocha chip, raspberry chip, chocolate chip, they're all great, but I always lean towards mint chocolate chip. Okay. Sorry, that was a very long one.
No, that's a great answer.
I could talk about ice cream a long time.
No, that is fair, because we gladly, any shameless plug here on Tuesdays with Terry, we'll take sponsors.
There you go. I know.
And then we could do live testing.
Graeters.
If we had Graeters here, we could provide feedback. I know, we can provide feedback. Absolutely. Yeah. Favorite cheese?
I've come to really like goat cheese in recent years. I love goat cheese, like sprinkled on a salad. But then for a basic all-around classic cheese, probably like a Vermont white cheddar with like a crisp apple. Like right now, our apples are in season, so the cheddar apple combo. Oh, excellent! Really good. I haven't had lunch yet. Kind of hungry.
I'm with you. One other one, it's kind of the theme for episode 5, Tuesdays with Terry this week, has been a little bit about travel. Yeah, so if we had a voucher, airline and on ground expenses paid, but you had to book it within the next 15 minutes, where would you go?
Well, I'd want to talk with Hannah, who I think is also on
She was
episode.
Our previous guest.
I think I'd want to talk with Hannah and pick Hannah's brain a little bit. But the place that jumps right to mind is Costa Rica, because I keep hearing wonderful things about that place, and it's not that far. Like I could jump on a plane and be there, relatively soon. Right.
There you go.
And I love the outdoors and beaches, and I hear that Costa Rica has lots of those. So.
Excellent.
And a lot of happy people there, apparently, too. The happiness index.
The happiness index is high.
Something about Costa Rica. So I don't know. Where would you go?
That's a great question. I think if I had to book probably 15 minutes, I would probably go. That's a great question. I would probably go to Australia, because I've never been.
Oh, see, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
New Zealand is another option.
Yeah. I've never been. So I think that would be, I know it's a long flight, but
but that would be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. I might have to revise my answer.
Oh. And our last one we love asking our guest is when you think about elementary school, what memory pops in your mind? What significant memory pops in your mind?
Does sixth grade count as
sure?
Elementary
Well,
school?
it
Some
counts.
schools it is. Some schools it's through.
Yep.
I had a teacher, a language arts teacher in sixth grade, Ms. Mitchell, who was fabulous. And I remember writing a story for her, a fiction story about the main character was walking home from school and turned into a dog. It's kind of strangely appropriate given
It is.
Biscuit's
It's
Corner.
yeah.
But the perspective of the main character, a kiddo, took on the perspective of a dog and was experiencing things from this dog's perspective. And my teacher just really gave me great feedback on that story and made me feel great about it.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of the things that really made me love language arts and loved teaching and got me into, teaching. I taught 6th and 7th grade for a while and then decided to go back and get my PhD and teach at the college level. And so that 6th grade moment of that story of Ms. Mitchell has stayed with me a long time.
That's excellent. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
And thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for the invitations. Thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to, especially thank our guests today on Tuesdays with Terry. We're very excited. And again, if you're interested to come on the show, talk all things Aquinas, feel free to reach out. We'll gladly get you on our upcoming schedule. But again, from our studio here in Holmdene, we're very excited that you joined us this week, and we wish you the best. And see you next time on Tuesdays with Terry.